whenever they are launching, they don't have stationary positions. Under normal circumstances, you would have stationary anti-aircraft weapons, right? Israel has stationary anti-air munitions. America has stationary anti-air munitions. If you have stationary weapon systems, they are easy to destroy. Iran doesn't have them. I mean, I'm sure they have some stationary ones. I think they got blown up in the 12-day war, as a matter of fact, right? But basically, what is happening here is both the Iranian defenses and the Iranian offensive capabilities are deep underground. So what they keep doing is they take out the TELs, their erector launcher systems, from outside of their caves, and they launch their missiles, waiting for the American and the Israeli Air Force to come in, bring out their anti-aircraft capabilities, and try to blow up as many drones as they possibly can, or try to blow up the fighter jets that are flying over Iranian soil, and then hope that doesn't get, hope that their entire anti-aircraft systems get destroyed, and then they bring them back underground. This is why the American air superiority over Iranian airspace is not a given, okay? It's not consistent. If you look at the strike patterns, if you look at their capabilities of striking Iranian soil, you'll realize that it's not actually very consistent. They don't have permanent air superiority over Iranian soil right now for a multitude of different reasons. And it's also very difficult to gain air supremacy over Iran because Iran is massive. But it's also very difficult for Iran to defend Iranian soil consistently, right? Because again, mountainous and massive. So they're using their mountainous terrain to their advantage. Okay? It's very difficult to implement a no-fly zone over Iran for both of these parties, for both the American and the Israeli parties, and for the Iranian government as well, for the IRGC as well. Okay? The population is dispersed across mountainous terrain. It's very difficult for them to put, I mean, it's also stupid for them to basically put stationary anti-aircraft systems out there because they're sitting ducks. Israel can just come in, fly in, blow it up one time, and it's over. That's why a lot of their anti-aircraft defense systems are actually not stationary. They periodically bring them out. However, so your assessment is Iran is winning currently? There is no winning in this situation. Iran is getting bombed into fucking oblivion. So it's not like a victory necessarily. But like here, you are correct. This is them trying to destroy the same missile city for like the 5th time this week and failing. They have not destroyed any on camera yet. Yeah, breaking. Iran's underground Damavand missile fortress just got obliterated. The RGC secret ballistic missile and air defense base east of Tehran, buried deep in the mountains, has been hit hard by relentless U.S. and Israeli strikes. So I am not like a milsim guy at all. But one thing I have learned from covering these sorts of incidents is the most effective way to stop artillery, the most effective way to stop munitions, the most effective way to stop bombs, basically is dirt. Okay? It's undefeated. It is the most undefeated. It's just ground. It's gravel. It's terrain. It's the most undefeated thing of all time. Okay? It is so difficult to actually successfully penetrate bedrock and get to the weapon systems underneath. You have to consistently keep bombing it over and over again with bunker buster bombs with the hopes that you can, actually engage the deep penetration necessary to get to the munition stockpile. This is the reason why when you go to an outdoor shooting range, there is usually a mountain behind it, right? There's like a mound of dirt behind the targets because the most effective way to stop a bullet or the most effective way to stop the most effective way to stop a bullet or the most effective way to stop any sort of munitions is literally just the side of a fucking mountain. Iran has plenty of mountains. And this is precisely the reason why their munition stockpile is deep underground. And it's also the reason why they can't fucking get to it. Okay? Rock is even better than dirt or sand, which is something Iran luckily has 55% of its territory made of. It's a uniquely resistant territory. Exactly. So the reason why I'm mentioning all this is because you said, like, oh, are they degrading Iran's capability? Like, it's objectively true that they're degrading Iran's capability. Yes, Iran is not capable of launching missiles with the same frequency that they did in the first couple of days because, obviously, some of those cave openings have closed. But all they need to do is to dig themselves out. They can kill the people that are capable of digging themselves out. But Iran also has 93 million people. So they have a fuck ton of people in the IRGC. So they got plenty of people and they got plenty of dirt and they got plenty of rock and they got plenty of terrain and they have plenty stockpiles. And not only do they have plenty of stockpiles, but they also have a logistical supply chain that is also very difficult to intercept on the eastern side of the country. So they have a direct line to both Russia and China if they want to. Maybe they have a direct line right now that America can't infiltrate either. Pair that up with the fact that their underground like manufacturing capabilities are also deep underground, and you arrive at a situation where it's like Vietnam on fucking steroids, right? This is the difference. It's a country that has designed its entire defense and offensive capabilities for this very moment. And you're seeing the results of that right now. That's why a lot of people who are used to America dominating, America fucking shit up, are having a hard time coming to the recognition that, like, this fortress design of this country is actually capable of withstanding a metric ton of damage, far more damage than America and Israel have actually been able to throw in the ways of all of their other enemies, right? Like, there's no similarity between Afghanistan with the Taliban. There's no similarity between this and like Iraq. There's guerrilla warfare. There's counterinsurgency techniques with boots on the ground military warfare. And that obviously is also another war of attrition of a different sort. But like, this is very different. If we're talking about like maintaining air superiority, with the weapon systems that America has, with the virtually unlimited offensive capabilities that America has, they should have completely destroyed the Iranian stockpiles, or at least like their capacity to do damage to the Gulf and certainly to Israel as well. But they haven't been able to do that, right? One must ask the question, why? How is Iran's food and energy situation over the next few months? Serious question. Iran is an incredibly self-sustaining country as well. Also due to American-born limitations, ironically enough. But yeah, they are a self-sustaining country. I don't know like what natural resources they lack in times of conflict. I suspect water would probably be a problem. But as far as like their agricultural output goes, like unless America starts literally blowing up their agri-production, which they could, I wouldn't put it past them to do that because they're fucking disgusting. I suspect that they're fine for the most part. But do you understand why I say that? Like, while it looks to be like, while the frequency of their missile launches have diminished from the first day, and if you ask the Iranian government, they cope and they say, oh, it's because like we used up all of our newest sorry, we used up all of our older gear on the first day or whatever, and now we're using up like our newer stuff, and that's the reason why we don't have to like launch as many missiles or whatever. I think that's a little bit of cope. But I think America is also coping when they claim that they have been able to deteriorate the Iranian strike capabilities by 70% to 90%, depending on which estimate you're looking at, because the results show a very different reality. If you look at like the Gulf, the Gulf base is still taking tremendous damage with new radar facilities being destroyed every single fucking day. Okay? Every single fucking day. Bro, Rick Scott hates you and it's awesome.
Standard.
Rick Scott? Okay, we'll do that later. We'll do that later. Oh, that's awesome. Fuck Rick Scott. Yeah, Iran is blinding the U.S. and Israel, taking out the THAAD radar in Jordan, in the UAE, Bahrain, Qatar, perhaps KSA, and Kuwait. This is the reason why Israelis are reporting that their response time, like their in the alarm system that they have, the response time has gone down by like half an hour, pretty much. Back in the day when Iranian missiles were being launched in Iran, you would have like a 25-minute response period to get to the bunkers. Okay? Now, from what I understand, it's gone down to like 1 minute or 2 minutes. The reason why it's no longer 25 minutes or 15 minutes or 10 minutes, but it's 2 minutes, is because the radar capabilities have diminished. They have been successfully destroying this entire network, these eyes that work alongside the aero systems, that work alongside the Israeli defenses, that work alongside all of these. Like this is a sophisticated network of eyes, basically, eyeballs that warn ahead of time, early advanced warning systems. Iran has been steadily destroying these multiple billions of dollars worth of fucking radars with their Shahed drones that cost $20,000 a pop. And you know, that's the reason why Israel no longer has the same defenses. This will chip away at the confidence that the Israeli public has, which currently is at like a 90% approval rating for American and Israel strikes on Iran. Iran is blinding the U.S.-Israeli defenses, taking out THAAD radar in Jordan, UAE, says Mark Ames, Bahrain, Qatar, perhaps KSA, and Kuwait. Iranian intelligence and targeting is the big surprise of this war so far for the arrogant, overconfident Trump meatheads who wildly underestimated their opponent. Yeah. Third time this evening, there has been a missile warning of incoming fire from Iran towards Israel, and no sirens have sounded in the Jordanian capital. I have no idea if it's related to this. People more expert than me can say. The radar for a THAAD system was struck and apparently destroyed in Jordan, while 2 other THAAD radar systems may have been hit in the UAE. Slowly but surely, while the American and the Israeli side keep saying over and over again that they have actually diminished Iran's launch capabilities, Iran has been taking out, piece by piece, all of the different eyes and ears that they have in this region that play a very consequential role in Israeli defenses. Okay? Do you understand? They're not lobbing missiles and lobbing Shahed drones for no fucking reason at the Gulf. This is why it's laughable whenever, you know, Arakshi goes on NBC and NBC's like, why are you attacking your neighbors, Muslim countries, in the month of Ramadan? It's the holy month of Ramadan. It's like, I wonder why they're doing that. Perhaps it's because all of these other countries have American military bases, and those American military bases have equipment that plays a role in undermining the Iranian offensive. It's war. It's also very expensive, for the record. It's not like they're not just blowing up these systems to engage in a war of attrition where you know, for the ROI favors the Iranian response as opposed to the American defense. Like, that's not the only reason. That is, you know, obviously helpful if their goal is to apply pressure to the American government to withdraw. It's certainly helpful in that regard, but that doesn't That's not the only reason why they're doing it. They're doing it because they want to shut off the defenses, the Israeli defenses, so that it makes it all the more difficult for Israel to continue its endless offensive. You're buying into Western propaganda. Iran is launching fewer missiles because they have to make their stockpile last for months. They can't just fire 300 missiles every single day. That would be like 10K missiles a month. No, dude, I know. I'm saying that the reason why their missile launching capabilities have quote unquote diminished is partially because they are like the American and the Israeli side are capable of closing up these tunnels. Okay, that's just the truth. It's not because their TLs are getting destroyed and they no longer have the launchers. Okay. They are slowly but surely degrading the air defenses and the radar capabilities of the American and the Israeli side. That is the achievement here for the Iranian side. Their goal, their military goal right now is very clearly to destroy American and Israeli defenses slowly but surely. But it takes a while for them to reopen those tunnels. That's my point. I'm sure that if they wanted to, I'm sure if they didn't get any degradation whatsoever, they would probably be launching even more missiles at Kuwait, even more missiles in Bahrain, even more missiles in the direction of those radar systems. And on top of that, consistently pepper Israel with their older stockpile. Their older munitions stockpile is probably still pretty large. But the reason why their capabilities of this conversation started because I was literally telling a chatter that their capabilities have not degraded in the way that the chatter thinks, because they're like, oh, they're not hitting Israel as much. Like I was explaining to that chatter that like, no, their capabilities have not degraded by the estimations on the Israeli side. Wait, I don't get it. You're saying their capabilities are degraded, but you're saying they're not degraded? Their launching capabilities are always going to receive setbacks after every single Israeli and American bombing campaign. Okay, that is true. However, their strike capabilities have not degraded by the American estimates. Locals say they're not slowing down. New strike reported near the U.S. base in Kuwait. Cluster munitions were used early this morning in Kuwait with another wave of attacks about an hour ago, source told Drop Site. Many locals believe the fighting had eased after Wednesday saw little activity across the Gulf, but the past 24 hours have been as intense as the first 2 days of the conflict, if not more, the local source reported. Separate OSINT accounts are circulating satellite imagery, they say, shows Iranian strikes hitting and destroying communications radomes, protective shells that cover the radar or satellite communications antennas at Camp Arifjan, a major U.S. base in Kuwait. What is this music, bro? This is crazy. Regardless of capabilities Iran has, this policy, I don't know if it's stupid or too dogmatic, of maintaining the moral high ground. I don't know if that's wise in the inhuman, i.e. humans who have forfeited their humanity with actions that are incompatible with life, U.S. Israelis. I don't know where the Iranian military doctrine is at this point, because, you know, there is one thing that America has done, which is chop up the top of the fucking directory. They have killed a lot of the generals. Perhaps that was a mistake. As I said, literally before they did the decapitation strike, maybe it's not the best idea to kill all of the people that have consistently shown strategic restraint. If you recall, I said that before they did the decapitation strike. I was like, maybe America won't be dumb enough to go and do a decapitation, because the Ayatollah and the leadership of the IRGC, as it stands currently, are some of the more restrained people. The IRGC has always been less restrained than the Ayatollah. The Ayatollah is the most restrained party here, but basically, the people that refused to attack Israel after Israel violated the long-standing red line that Iran and the entire axis of resistance had, which was if Israel invades Gaza, they do what they're doing right now after that invasion, right? They had this capability after October 7th. Like, I need you to understand, Yahya Sinwar was aware that Iran had this capability after October 7th. And time again, the Quds forces, the IRGC refused to abide by the long-standing red lines that they had declared, as Israel violated those red lines over and over again. Israel kept slowly but surely degrading the Iranian axis of resistance. This is the real deterioration that took place as a direct consequence of the strategic restraint applied by the IRGC. They allowed the entire axis of resistance that they designed in this fucking region over the course of the last 20 years to get blown into fucking bits, including the assassination and the decapitation strikes against Hezbollah. That was very effective. All the fucking older dudes that are in the IRGC and all the older dudes that were in charge of this process kept thinking, oh, we can negotiate with the West. We can negotiate with the West. We can negotiate with the West. Well, look what that got you. Death. Now you're dead. And the people that remain are the people who are like, well, they're killing us, so I don't think we can negotiate any longer. And this is the results. I'm telling you, like, the American and Israeli doctrine of death and destruction has unironically caused this massive economic collapse. They literally are the reason. You know how Americans say you can't negotiate with terrorists? We can't negotiate with terrorists? That's what Iran should have been saying from the start.
It's about what is the worst single thing that can happen to the global economy.
I'm going to go pee.
Well, it's kind of happening right now. So the Straits of Hormuz are effectively closed. I'll show you a chart on that in a second. You've got the world's biggest oil terminal that is basically down, Ras Tanura in Saudi Arabia. You've got the world's biggest gas terminal, Ras Laffan, that is down as well, all because of drone attacks from Iran. You've got tanker attacks all through the Gulf and particularly around the Straits, but including in the north end of the Persian Gulf. Like I say, this is the kind of thing that scary scenarios built by economists have been kind of talking about for years. But what's the impact? And this is where things get kind of interesting and nuanced, because you might have thought with that happening, the oil price would go crazy. And it's certainly gone a lot higher. Look at that. Up by 15% in the last few days. But it hasn't gone up as much as the gas price. And here's where things get kind of interesting. So this is the gas price, actually in the UK. And that's up by 70%. And actually at one point, you can see the line has just about come down. At one point, it was up by 100%. So it doubled. So why is there that difference between oil and gas? Well, in part, it's literally just a physical thing. It's quite hard to store gas, and so your kind of sensitivity to what's going on in the market is slightly greater. But to some extent, it's also something else. So if you look, for instance, at the oil market, it's quite well stocked at the moment. What do I mean by that? Well, this is showing you demand for oil in recent years, and then there's a kind of projection there. And then look at supply, so this red line here. And you can see supply recently has been running above demand.
This is old news. We're over 90 now. When is this from? It's from 15 hours ago.
So there's quite a lot of oil flowing out there. And, you know, the corollary of that is that quite a lot of that has gone into storage.
So here's the thing. They also stopped the production. So in order to kickstart, they're going to burn the stockpile that they have. They're going to burn through the stockpile that they have. But it's going to take a while for the production to restart. There's like a runway. There's a time constraint here as well, which will, of course, certainly hit the, which will inevitably increase the barrel prices.
Stocks, oil stocks. Every country around the world has some degree of oil storage. It's easier to store, like I say, than it is gas. You can store gas, but it's just a bit harder. But oil stocks have been rising in the run-up to what's happening now in Iran. So there's a little bit of reassurance there that, look, for oil, we're kind of relatively well equipped as things go. However, it should be said, okay, so this is oil stocks mostly outside the Middle East, outside the Gulf. It's a totally different story if you're looking at oil stocks.
USS Gerald Ford passes the Suez Canal and enters the Red Sea. Here come the Houthis. Oh, shit. What is this? Yes, a bit spammy. I know you're featured wearing your Zhongshan suit in a video about hate towards the Adidas Chinese jacket. Why Chinese netizens hate the Adidas Chinese jacket? Wait, is this person saying this sucks too? I know why the Chinese netizens hate the Adidas jacket, because it's not even like traditional Chinese gear. It's from anyway, whatever. Well, what am I doing? ADHD, stop.
Within the Middle East, here oil stocks are kind of a problem. Different countries here, now these are all oil producers, so it's a different thing, have a certain amount of leeway, a certain amount of storage that they can put their oil into if they can't get it out. But it's not that much. So Iraq, 6 days, Kuwait, 14 days, the UAE, 19, and so on and so forth. And why does this matter? Okay, well, have a look at this. Okay, so
come on, at this point, the Houthi probably won't join the fight. Are you fucking insane? The Houthis absolutely will join the fight. Are you out of your fucking mind, chatter? What are you saying? The only reason why they haven't fucking joined the fight thus far is because, from what I understand, China is trying to keep things together between Iran and Saudi Arabia. But as soon as the Americans come in, if there's one group of people that want the fucking smoke in the region, it is the Ansar Allah movement. Oh my God, you're so wrong. Oh, I've never met a population like the fucking people of Yemen, brother. What are you saying? Oh. Yemen is already 2-0 against American forces, the American Navy. They've caused them to retreat twice. What is this? Oh. What is this? Okay, I'm not going to show this, chat. You're going to get me fucking banned, okay? Houthis are the Yemeni people are a very musical people, okay? They love their musicals. And I will say, I love their musicals too. But unfortunately, due to the fucking censorious nature of this platform that I'm on, I am incapable of showing you the musicals. Yemen so completely embarrassed the U.S. that the U.S. directed the Saudis to resume their genocide. No, the Saudis don't even want to fuck with the what? No, you're wrong. The Saudis literally cut a deal with the Houthis. You're wrong. Why do you put the Houthis and Yemeni people in the same boat and the Iranians with the IRGC? These are not alien entities, man. These are not alien entities. These are not people. These are not people that are like a totally separate alien life form. Where the fuck do you think the Houthi movement comes from? They are Zaidi Shia Yemenis. What the fuck? Does it help you? Does it make you feel indifferent? Does it make you feel indifferent to the violence that America is subjecting these countries to when you make it feel like it's an alien life form? You know? Is that what it is? Do American bombs distinguish between a Sunni Yemeni and a Shia? Do American bombs distinguish between school children and IRGC commanders? If no, then there is functionally no reason to not cover it in the same exact way. I mean, they do think differently. You're missing the point. This is like saying, why do you say Palestinian and Hamas as a collective unit? What do you need? What do you need to see? It does not matter if there is an ideological diversity or even friction amongst the masses. When American bombs blow up your home, they don't distinguish between gay Yemeni or homophobic Yemeni. They don't distinguish between IRGC commander and regular Iranian citizen who actually hates the IRGC. The same goes for the genocide that Israel committed in Gaza. There is no difference. So what is the difference of you and another American? None. None. What the fuck do you mean? Yes. Yes. If an alien life form came down and invaded the United States of America, you say you are super different in many ways? Brother, you are missing the point. If an alien life force came down to Earth and destroyed the United States of America and killed my family members, they would not make that distinction, okay? Just as American bombs do not make that distinction between the ideological differences between the Yemeni population or the Iranian population, a technologically advanced society's the weapons of destruction would not make such a distinction between me, my positions, my interests, and any other American. If China were to nuke the United States of America right now, if China were to drop a fucking North Korea, they won't. I'm not saying this is a likelihood at all. I'm just using this as a hypothetical argument. I'm not engaging in this like idiotic fucking thing where it's like China's going to nuke us or whatever. I'm not saying that. But in a hypothetical situation where like some other country, some foreign adversary nuked Los Angeles, California, I would be dead. They wouldn't think, well, Hasan actually has a profound understanding of Chinese development in the People's Republic of China. I'd be dead. My loved ones would be dead all the same. This is the same kind of moronic chatter that would come in here defending the IDF for targeting only Hamas for 2 years while they engage in a ceaseless genocide without restraint. Exactly. How much extra time do you get on tests? Yeah. The difference in opinion amongst the masses is utterly irrelevant. It's not even a fucking talking point that I entertain in the situation because we bomb them all the same. Okay? Lemefayao, I think they're different. What you think does not matter. It is utterly immaterial. Okay? Because you are not a Mark 9 Reaper drone. Okay? You are not a bunker buster bomb. You are not a Moab. You are not a B-2 bomber. When you bomb Iran, you bomb all of them all the same. No, you're fucking delusional enough to think that they have specific targets. Yeah, there you go. Thank you. Thank you for finally arriving at the talking point that we know you were trying to say, but you were too pussy to fucking say it outright. Unless you personally believe that the little schoolgirls that were killed, 150 of them, were actually a direct military target. I bet you peace sitting down. Aw. Do you personally feel like American force projection capabilities are diminishing and that makes you feel less confident in American military superiority, even though American military superiority actually never did anything to materially improve your existence at all? Does it suck to finally come to the conclusion that all this endless death and destruction campaign is for virtually nothing? You can just chant USA, USA because you're the most castrated slave of all time. USA, 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 I say. They're going to find out later why we don't have health care, but one day they'll find out, just like the Ansar Allah movement was going to find out one day why we don't have health care. Bitch, you don't have health care. Get health care. Fight for health care now. Yeah. Look how fast this dumb fuck gave up. He tried to come in here and be like, why do you say this? Why do you not make the separation about who's getting bombed? Which, makes me feel a little bit better. Like, those guys deserve it, right? Like, we're not killing innocent children, right? I mean, even though we very clearly are. There's a current ongoing investigation that has basically revealed that America did deliberately target a fucking school and kill a bunch of 7 to 12-year-old girls, as a matter of fact. We went through the dialogue tree and you exhausted all the options and now you've arrived at the ultimate conclusion. USA, USA. I have health care. I thought Iran said they did it. You don't think. You don't think at all. This is cope. It's also, it's also propaganda that you willingly sucked up because you can't comprehend that America could do such an evil thing because you've been sold a lie your whole life. Anyway, let's take a look at people that are, people that were very much anti-IRGC. CBS has reached out to a man inside of Iran who took part in the massive anti-regime protests, says democracy has to come from the people and not foreign powers.
People in Iran, like any other country, they want to have, peaceful life. We are not looking for war. There was a lot of issues with the supreme leader, with their policies.
When do you think people will learn? Because, if this last 2.5 years of genocide and how much people's collective conscious shifted from the diametrical opposite position of being either indifferent to the Israeli violence to supporting Israeli violence to now finding it to be morally repugnant. If you had that ideological journey, why do you still come in here and try to repeat the same fucking thought process now with yet another instance? When will you fucking learn? Why? Why do you want to be the most castrated slave of all time? Why do you want to delude yourself into thinking that this guy Hasan, he must be anti-American. He's just probably in support of the IRGC. He probably is getting paid by the Iranian government. Does that make you feel better about being wrong all the fucking time? Wake up. Why do you think there is a consistent instant vindication faster than ever before? I told you that the Iranian population, of course, once they got fucking bombed, would turn around and say, please stop bombing us. Because those bombs do not distinguish between those who are anti-regime and those who are pro-regime. Okay? We are destroying one of the oldest cultures and one of the oldest cities in the fucking planet. It's disgusting. All of the diaspora population and their dance campaign in the immediate aftermath of the decapitation strike was going to look really fucking shitty in a matter of weeks. Turns out it has happened in a matter of days. Okay? So why? Why do you still do this? Why can you not let go of this mental block that stops you from seeing something that's super easy to understand? You cannot bring about liberation to a people by blowing them to bits. It's that simple. You're engaging in self-soothing behavior to delude yourself. This is delusional thinking.
In our childhood and my young ages, actually, best years of my life, we could have had better lives. What you had in US or what you had in UAE or any other country with the resources. I mean, the country is so rich. Why we should live like this? So that's the reason I say that they ruined our lives. I was in the protest, but I am not going to allow anybody else to come and destroy my homeland because I am against my government. It's my problem. I cannot stand that. The issue that my friends outside of Iran, they are trying to bring...
This person is the nicest, most sympathetic Iranian to the diasporoids, by the way. I'm willing to bet that the average Iranian that is currently an anti-IRGC Iranian living in Iran right now has way worse thoughts than this person. This is the nicest. This is the nicest person to the position of the diasporoids.
Or to the country to change the regime so that they can come back to Iran, but at the cost of the people who are living in Iran. Even when you sleep, you don't know what will happen tomorrow or even what will happen during the night. I was forced to leave Tehran. Why I was forced to do that? They dropped bomb on this. They attacked this part of the city. Oh, let me call my uncle. Maybe they are living in that region. Let me call my aunt. Are they alive? This is not a situation that brings...
There's a famous Chinese saying about this that encapsulates the philosophy behind Chinese non-intervention policy. Wow, this is a fucking bar. If an egg is broken by an outside force, life ends. If broken by an inside force, life begins. Great things always begin from the inside. Brilliant. I agree, but I have friends who are for this war. They argue that bombing can bring peace, and they say, look at Germany now or Japan. I know, it's cope, it's cope, it's cope, it's cope. It's cope. Okay, and are they in Tehran is the real question, but because if they're not in Tehran, then don't listen to them regardless. And even if they're in Tehran and they're saying, no, these bombing campaigns, Trump, Donald Trump, please keep bombing Tehran. The people that are inside of Tehran saying that, the numbers are going to diminish as the bombings continue. And not only that, but there were voices inside of Iraq that were celebrating the American military occupation. Those voices went awfully quiet. Some of those people took up arms against the American government, okay? The American occupation. It's that simple. Like, it's just so stupid. Look at Russia. Look at Russia's intervention in Ukraine. Look at Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Look at Russia's bombing campaigns in Ukraine. Eastern Ukraine was quite sympathetic to Russia before the invasion. They're not sympathetic any longer. Why the fuck do you think that is? Perhaps it has something to do with the fact that they got bombed. They got killed. I've brought this up over and over again, and people simply do not understand. I would love for people to post like this to, on their social media to go live under bombs for a few years or a few days, and then we can revisit the conversation about how scary bombs are comparatively. Bombs are frightening, but for Iranians, the regime itself has been far more terrifying. Like, this is cope. This is just propaganda. This is just pro-Israeli propaganda. And it's very shitty propaganda because if you just like fucking close your eyes and think for 3 seconds, you will realize there has never been an instance where bombing has brought about like a democratic process for the fucking population. Even the most sober assessment, well, not the most sober assessment, but even the most pro-American assessment has to openly recommend the fact that American regime change that has come as a consequence of bombing campaigns have led to worse conditions overall in an infinitely larger amount of times than leading to liberal democracy. Okay? That's why you have to go back all the way to fucking, well, Nazi Germany. Again, military occupation. And even then, there was no denazification that took place regardless. Or Japan. Again, military occupation. There's not a single instance where this has worked. And a mountain of evidence that it does not work.
Peace is really scary. Yes, we have problem. We have serious problem. But I am not going to resolve those problems with damaging my country. So they have to leave it to ourselves to tackle that. Democracy, can happen, but it takes time. It comes from the people. They have to demand a democracy. It's an internal issue. And if somebody from outside is going to put some people in charge for any reason, even without considering people's interests, they are not going to bring us freedom. They are not going to bring us democracy. I never cannot believe that an external power can bring democracy into Iran. Although that I'm extremely unhappy with the regime, with the economy, all these things. I'm not supporting them, honestly. But missiles and rockets are attacking Iran. It's my land. It's my homeland. I mean, it takes decades and years to be repaired. People were crying. Some of the innocent people were injured. When there is missiles, air jets are moving around. So how can I expect people to work?
Oh, God. Ew.
Then, the economy would be damaged worse than what currently see.
Oh,
we were the people who tried to build this country, irrespective of all those restrictions internally and.
I'm sorry. The amount of fucking drool on the ground right now is a puddle, okay? Oh. God damn. Oh. Holy shit, she just spat everywhere. She got so excited. She was just literally fucking drooling like it was like a goddamn puddle next to me. Why did they do that? Why do they want to eat it out of your hand so much? No, it's not that she wanted to eat it out of my hands. She wants to pick it up gently. So she's like demonstrating restraint. And the problem is while she's demonstrating restraint, she can't stop her drool from fucking flying everywhere. Ugh.
Externally, this is not bringing freedom into Iranians' life. I believe the country with bad regulation is better than a country with chaos. Now we are going into chaos. To me, it's very dark. The future is very dark.
My husband told me he saw people on the internet that your dog died. Why do people think that? Why do people think that? Because they're fucking stupid. Like, I don't know.